Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. On Fridays, we talk about the product owner role in Scrum. We talk about patterns and anti-patterns that relate to ours and the team's collaboration with the product owner. And we've also put together a course to help you navigate that relationship. There's 18 modules, nearly 8 hours of tools, techniques, videos, handouts, presentations you can use to help you and your team work better with your product owner. The course is available at bit.ly/coach-your-PO. All lowercase, all one word, that's bit.ly/coach-your-PO. And now, on to the show, the Product Owner Show. Hello everybody, welcome to our Friday TGIF and also Product Owner episode with Mahesh Jade. Hi Mahesh, welcome back.
Hey Vasco, great to be here again.
Absolutely. So Mahesh, on Fridays we talk Product Owner, and let's start with what might have been potentially the worst anti-pattern in the Product Owner role that you had to work with.
Yeah, so I have to go back into my journey wherein we were into a phase of agile adoption, and the PO was not really aware about what does it mean to be agile and how is his structure of the role. So I think in those times, I remember most of the retrospectives we will have, they will only conducted to talk about how the product owner have not come up with the right wireframes, or how the business analyst have not provided the right data in the beginning, and how teams struggle to complete that story. So that was the part of the situation, and the PO would not feel any concern about it because he had come from a particular SDLC kind of environment wherein he will take some more time to analyze and then come up with the data. But getting him into a loop of being in an iteration, quickly providing the necessary data at that point of time, and then moving on, I think that was a challenge for that kind of environment.
So the PO was kind of absent, right? Is that what you mean? That they weren't participating regularly in conversations with the team to clarify stories, for example?
Yeah, so that was absolutely there. The presence of the product owner will be for very less time, maybe in the beginning for a few minutes, and then they're away into their own spaces. So essentially, they looked at the PO and the team relationship as two separate spaces, that we are working in one space and you are into another. There was no common bridge between that.
So the PO was absent. They just went into their, as you called it, own space. And of course, that creates a problem because we know as Scrum Masters, the relationship between the team and the product owner and how they collaborate is very important. So what were the things you tried at that time to kind of help the PO understand that they should be more present, or at least they should be present to the level that the team was able to ask questions about the stories?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I think two things we did which really helped us. One of the thing was, into our usual retrospective, team will think that okay, there is one retrospective for the between the Scrum Master and the PO, and then there is another retrospective for the team and the Scrum Master. So essentially, the PO would not join the retrospective, and even if they join, people will hesitate to talk about it because they had quite a big list of things. So what we started doing is that I started calling it out that into the retrospective, it is a very safe environment to call out things, and we have to talk in a spirit that I'm okay and you are also okay. And with those callouts, I think it had an indirect benefit or indirect influence that people started talking about some of the things in front of each other in that particular environment. And so people started recognizing that, okay, there exists some space for improvement. And then we started coming up with some ideas wherein if the product owner is absent, can we have a proxy PO? Can he nominate somebody to contact in his absence? So, and can we maintain a quick board of a visual board? And we actually did that, wherein we can just put some sticky notes on the stories that are coming up next, not part of this iteration, but maybe something we need to be having some information about to get the work started into the next iteration. And I think those kind of small improvement really helped. The visual board really helped, so that the PO, because he was associated with a lot of other projects as well, and the visual board started helping him to be on the top of the things that he should be gathering data and sharing with us. and creating that safe environment to have a discussion, and then going for a proxy PO, that altogether helped. And that,
So you say you created a safe environment. Now I understand how a board and visualization of information can help clarify some missing information, some problems that the team is facing. But how did you go about creating that safety in that environment? Because sometimes creating more visibility to what's going on may decrease safety. So what did you do there that was different, that it helped create a safe environment even when you were publishing and looking at more information than before?
yeah. So I remember it was about setting up some more communication bridges between the PO and the team, and we did it at several levels. So we were following Scrum, and we had a set of meetings of refinement and all this. But I think to get into that mode of really helping each other, we started setting up some more and very crisp ceremonies, which are maybe not prescribed into Scrum. But as an adoption, we wanted to have some more conversation and some more interactions when people can come together, they can clarify things. So I think that was our way to not just limit ourselves to the prescribed ceremonies in the beginning, but set up some small connects between some set of people, so that the information is flowing every now and then, and not just at the retrospective or into the refinement. So that went a very long way for us, setting up those small connects other than the ceremonies. That went very well.
Yeah, a way to connect outside maybe the pressure of getting a backlog groomed or a sprint planned. That's definitely, we need to think about that, right? Because sometimes the PO is just not available when we have those ceremonies, and they might be available at another point. So a great approach there. So now we turn our attention to the opposite. What might have been potentially the best product owner example that you've worked with? So share that with us, Mahesh.
Yeah, so this makes me really happy because most of the product owners I got to work with, I think I'm very lucky that we developed a certain partnership. And so two things we did whenever we came across a good PO and we developed a partnership. So one was how we developed a psychological safety altogether for the team. And that was via building empowered initiatives for us. So what I mean by
What
that,
do you mean by that?
yeah, absolutely. So we would connect on weekly basis, or maybe even more frequently than that, and we would discuss what is going around the team and how is our understanding of agile. We would have some conversations, and on basis of that, whenever we want to try out something new, I'll not go alone for that. I'll first try to see if you also want this to be done, and then once he's in that initiative, I think it becomes an empowered initiative. So rather than a scrum master having some idea about a particular thing and maybe getting some input from the team and building, trying to see to build for that, as the PO is very critical and crucial part of the team, I think when we build something together as an empowered initiative, that has a larger potential to keep following and keep building up on that.
So by empowered initiative, do you mean that whatever idea that you had and maybe wanted to try out, instead of pushing that idea, you maybe presented it but never pushed it and waited for the product owner to say, okay, let's try this, and then you tried it? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That is how. So the quick connects that we'll have, they were really focused on what is the next thing that we want to try out. And even if I have five things, I'll just focus on those two or three things which we have agreed in the beginning. And from my experience, I have seen, rather than going for five different things on our own, if we go for two things that have been looked by few more people into the team, they really go very long way.
So when you talked, I mean, we're talking about product owners, of course. So when you talk about product owners, like what are the initiatives or empowered initiatives, as you described, that you would bring to the product owner? What are the things that you were discussing together with the product owner, or what were the things you discussed together with the product owner before implementing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the conversations will be on. So one of the incident I remember is that the refinements we were having fewer people talking and not everybody participating into the refinement. And we picked that topic. We were discussing on that what do you feel if it is something that is helping us? And in the beginning, some of the thoughts were, yeah, they are helping, because at the end of the day, we are refining stories. We are adding more value to that. And then as a Scrum Master, I brought about a perspective that, I have observed this, that the more engagement we observe into the refinement, it actually reflects into the actual work as well. So as an example, if we see all of the people participating into the refinement and adding their views in each of the story, it is more likely that when the story gets picked up into a particular iteration, people will be having those memories that we were discussing this at some point of time, and I have participated to add this dimension to this story. So from that perspective, I think that conversation went really well, and not just well but great. And we thought, okay, let's go very creative about that. Let's create some set of tickets that we'll bring along in the refinement, and we'll put them forward. That we are actually essentially running a small contest when people are asking good questions, and everybody, whenever they ask any question to refine that story to the next level and next level of readiness, we'll just put one score on that person. So I think these are the things that we did all together, and that was forming a very great partnership, that we are not just only looking at the ideas and initiatives, but we are finding creative ways of implementing them. And that way, I think the product owner being the face of customer, and as my product owner calls me, being a face of the team, we try to bring those faces together in a creative way, that we are bringing about a change that is helping people understanding the value in it and getting more happier being part of that change.
Absolutely. And one thing that you mentioned that I would like to highlight is this focus on the partnership with the product owner. That's a very important perspective for us as Scrum Masters.
Yeah, absolutely, Vasco. That goes very long way. If we have a partnership between the face of the customer and the face of the team, that has got a very huge potential.
So, Mahesh, we're getting close to the end, but before we do tell us, where can people find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
So I keep going to a lot of meetups, and one of the good thing I have practiced is that after every conference or meetup I go up to, I will try to quickly write a little narration on that, and I will put that on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn have been my best source to do that. So LinkedIn is one of the place where people can find maybe some of the things that they can also try out, they can also be part of, and they can indulge themselves into. On top of it, I have been thinking from some time that I want to start a YouTube channel which is focused on servant leadership, and maybe recording a quick set of videos to talk about how the servant leadership looks onto the real ground, and what are the practices and experiments that people can do to become a next level of servant leader. So that is on my mind. But currently, I think the LinkedIn and Twitter, for that matter, are the current sources of getting in touch with me.
Absolutely. We'll put the link to LinkedIn and Twitter on the show notes. And whenever the YouTube video is live, do send us the link and we'll update the show notes. So Mahesh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your generosity with your time and your knowledge.
Thank you so much, Vasco.
One more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast is over. But there's a lot more we have to share. We have developed our own membership site where you find a community of active and engaged Scrum Masters. In this site, you get access to exclusive content and get to interact with us, your podcast hosts, as well as the best Scrum Masters in the world. Join us at scrummastertoolbox.com/podcast and keep this podcast free of advertising. See you next week for one more week full of Scrum Master tips and tricks. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.